in my quest to consume the MCU, I decided I might as well watch the TV shows that tie in. I'm John Berry, and this is my review of Agent Carter, all 2 seasons of it. Though it definitely deserves a 3rd season, in my opinion. I don't know, they could do a Disney Plus season if they ever really wanted to, and I wish they would. Because it's a very good season, and show, not just season, both seasons are good, but it's a good show, but it also ends a bit on a cliffhanger. And I have the perfect pitch for a 3rd season. The SSR transitioning to S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just saying, that'd be the perfect story. But anyhow, this story basically follows Peggy Carter as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent or I should say an SSR agent in the post-war era. So, we're still like, late 40s, I would say. So, S.H.I.E.L.D. hasn't been formed yet, it's still the SSR, but everything's still set up very much in basically the United States as a whole, and the world is still very much structured along its World War II lines still in regards to, internal structures, like the War Department, all that still structured that way. SSR is still a thing, they haven't become S.H.I.E.L.D. yet. I could go on and on about those differences, but they're not really important. Though in season 1, we do get some look at Nuremberg prison and all that's going on there. And just the crazy stuff. But you can definitely tell that SSR is not always, on the up and up, especially among its administration levels. And then we also get a kind of a pseudo-Hydra, if you will, in season 2. Very much, a secret organization that wants to basically, control the world, but only from the shadows and influences everyone and anything, and even those identification pins like Hydra does. I mean, it's crazy. I call them pseudo-Hydra because I think they wanted to put Hydra in, but they really didn't but they knew they couldn't do Hydra, so they created this organization that's probably just as crazy as Hydra, though they end up being a non-factor as, a scientist actress ends up being the big bad villain of season 3. And then, season 2, and then it ends up relegated to an insane asylum. That's tough. And then you feel sympathetic for the gangster that is, the gangster that loves so. And he actually does help the elements of the SSR that to basically capture her, because he wants to help her, because he can tell that she isn't she's not mentally sound, like he knows that. So that's actually kind of nice to see that even gangsters sometimes know when to, cooperate with the feds, for lack of a better term. But that's in season 2, which is set on the East Coast, but it's correction, the West Coast. Season 1 is set on the West Coast in New York. And season 1 is actually, I think, my preferred season, because it's dealing with Peggy still not over the loss of Captain America. And when she discovers that there's one vial of Captain America's blood that they took from him in Captain America the First Avenger, which on my rewatch of that film, I saw that scene. And she did not want to get rid of it. It was, stolen from Howard Stark's vault. Then it got into S.H.I.E.L.D. possession, which Howard asked her to take from him, claiming it was some big weapon that would accidentally destroy the power grid, basically. But she opened it and found out it was Captain America's blood, got the truth out of Jarvis, and then kept it hidden, and then at the end it gets back in SSR possession, but then it gets back in either Jarvis or Howard Stark's possession. So not quite sure who, and by Jarvis I don't mean Tony's Jarvis, I mean Mr. Jarvis, Howard's butler, actual butler, British butler. What's the deal with millionaires and British butlers anyhow? But that's on a side note. By the end of season 1, Peggy gets it back, and actually Mr. Jarvis gives it to her, telling her that she knows what she does with it. So she goes to the Brooklyn Bridge and dumps it into the blood into the sea. It's in a way the season 1's, and that's the end. Like she has finally let Steve Rogers go. So of course we know that I don't think she still has like a special place in her heart for Steve Rogers, as shown in a scene from Avengers Endgame, because she keeps a picture of Steve Rogers pre-serum on her desk. So we know that she still has a place in her heart for Steve Rogers. But she's like, she's finally accepted that Steve is gone, even though we know he's just frozen in ice. But we also learned that Howard is ashamed that he was not able to find Steve Rogers, to find Captain America, because in season 1, basically, he's hypnotized to go drop a bunch of dangerous gas that causes people to become crazed and kill each other on Times Square. But he thinks he's actually flying to the Arctic to find Captain America. And that's just crazy. And then and of course that guy is part of a Russian organization, the guy that hypnotizes Howard, just wants revenge on Tony, ends up arrested and sent to prison, and shares the cell with a certain person from Hydra that ends up putting Hydra into S.H.I.E.L.D. I also think that's how the Russian... I have a thing Hydra also infiltrates a Russian equivalent of S.H.I.E.L.D., or the SSR, whatever you want to call it. First of all, we know there's one that exists called the Leviathan. That's a tough word to pronounce. So, but I think we figured out how that happens, because we know the Winter Soldier was all done in Russia, not in the United States. So obviously Hydra had contacts there, and I think we saw how that all got set up to begin with. I'm just saying. But when you get two mad scientists together, and that's that, and who are part of secret organizations that don't really like America and the concepts of freedom, then we get a bit of a problem. Then they should not have been put in the same cell together, is all I'm saying. But that's season 1, which I think is a better season as a whole. I do think it was better, mainly because it dealt more with Captain America and more dealing with him not being there for Peggy and also for Howard. And then of course season 2, they moved to LA and all that, and it's more like, who will Peggy fall in love with? I'm not always a big sucker for... Actually, I'm not a big sucker for romance stories. But if you've watched any of the MCU films, then you know who Peggy will eventually choose. She just needs to choose. Once we find out if a character's life was saved by Captain America, and she's interested in, we found him. I'm just saying. Also, that we're also debating, in Endgame, does Captain America go to an alternate time or back into the same time? Really, there's debates on that, and it could go either way. But like, just watching, I knew who Peggy Carter would eventually probably decide to be with for one reason. He was injured in the war in Europe, and he could have easily been saved by Captain America. It's not stated anywhere in season 1 and season 2, but I'm just saying, guy in Europe who was injured, more likely to have been saved by Captain America than the scientist who was stateside during all of the war. I'm just saying. But season 2 in a way has its good moments too. It has one scene which really kind of goes back to Peggy's torn heart, if you will, because it flashes back to season 1 in a little bit. It's a dream sequence. And it's an interesting dream sequence because it only shows partial sets and all that. It's kind of interesting. Also, I think, and also Agent Carter as a whole, I think, and this is why Hydra never tried to kill Peggy, because they probably knew if they did, they would be discovered. Even though Hydra hasn't really infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. such the SSR yet at this point, we know they will. And they do that for Howard, probably knowing at the point where Peggy can't go in to save Howard because they probably know that could happen. But think, what happens in Captain America the Winter Soldier when Hydra tries to get rid of Captain America? They're discovered. They probably Hydra suspected that if they tried to get rid of Peggy, they would be discovered too. Which is actually the thing, someone who could stop Hydra, only if Hydra tries to stop them, could they stop Hydra. I'm just saying, but overall, Agent Carter is a very good series, and I really wish there was a season 3. Maybe we'll get a Disney Plus season 3. That is potentially possible. They did that with the Clone Wars, so it can happen. I would love it to happen. Just tell in simple story transitioning from the SSR to SHIELD. That's all we need. But though they obviously have the writers obviously set up a different story than that in the final closing minutes of season 2. But that doesn't mean they can't tell 2 stories at once. They already mentioned the War Department being reshuffling earlier in the kind of middle of season 2. So, hey, anything's possible. But those are just my thoughts on Agent Carter. What are yours? I would love to hear from you. Also, if you haven't liked the video already and you enjoyed it, please do so. And feel free to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Links are in the description. As well are the links for my Discord server and my Patreon page if you'd like to help support this channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do so. I would really appreciate it. And feel free to check out either the video or the playlist on screen now. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Have a good one. Bye!